Designed by Jeff Blauvelt, a true badass, precision and power in the palm of your hand. Psyop by Vosteed, ultimate brand. Hail to Vosteed, your ultimate brand. Hail to the great king of the night. Psyop, the weapon that shines so bright. Slash through the darkness, conquer the fight. Vosteed's masterpiece, to the light.
Oh, here we go again. Is this another Vosteed video? Only one video after the previous one? Hell yeah, it is. Because I am kind of in love with this brand now. It only took one knife to just send me down the rabbit hole, and that was their flagship knife, right? So, of course, the RS Chaos is an incredible gateway drug into the brand. So where do you go from there? Well, I think it's only logical that you go to their other flagship model. This, my friends, is the Psyop. And while it is really similar in a few ways to the RS Chaos, it is a completely different design, completely different drop point blade, different size dimensions, everything. And it's not a flipper. Well, it's a front flipper, but most normal people aren't going to front flip it. They're going to flick with the blade window. However, you have that option. Now, I've already opened this up to check it out because I was honestly far too excited to wait for you guys. Hell, I didn't know when you were going to show up. You guys are always fashionably late. So, that familiar orange box, really well-constructed box. And I've seen a lot of companies use Pelican-style or Otter-style boxes. You know, that whole waterproof, rugged, look how tough I am kind of boxes. And some are okay and some are dog shit. These are really nice. It's a good thickness to the plastic. It's really well made. It doesn't feel flimsy and cheap. And there it is. Let's get the cool patch out of there also. It's a nice quality PVC patch. But we're not here to talk about boxes and patches, are we? No, we are not. We are here to talk about the awesomeness of that knife. Designed by the one and only Tuffknives. That's right, Mr. Jeffrey Blauvelt. Jeff has been a friend of mine for many years, way over 10 years now, and I truly love his designs, his customs. Wish I could get my thumb in there all the way. There we go. And the creativity that he puts into all of his knives. One of the other really cool things about Jeff is, let's use the Psyop for an example. If he makes a model, let's say it's the Psyop, and he makes 20 of them, it is highly unlikely that you're going to see the same knife twice. Unless it was done specifically for a reason, like a customer ordered a matching pair, or Jeff really liked a certain execution, and by making it again, it's not going to, I don't know, make the other customer that has the other one unhappy for some reason. He's able to do it again. But it is super rare to see that. Every time Jeff makes a knife, it's different. And it really shows his flexibility as a custom maker. Jeff lives up in Pennsylvania, and he has kind of weathered the storm, both figuratively and literally. He began as a knife modifier or a knife pimper. So you would buy like a Spyderco or a Benchmade or something like that, and you would send it to him, and he would carve up the scales and do like a cool Anzo pattern, and he would anodize titanium parts for you. He would refinish blades, stuff like that, make you cool pocket clips. And then he had heard enough times that his work was really well done and he should become a knife maker, that he finally went, screw it, I'm just going to make the leap. Then one day, I don't want to say when, because it really wasn't overnight, he was grinding and grinding and grinding day and night for years. And all of a sudden, he would post these knives with finishing level on par with GTC knives, with grinds up there with some of the best. And I'm not going to name names because everybody's going to want to have arguments down in the comments down below. And creativity that bested many makers that were doing it twice as long as him. And people slowly started to realize that and went, dude, this guy's got crazy talent. He doesn't generally repeat a build. They're unique. He works with any kind of material. I think sometimes just to push himself. Oh, let me see if I can work with this hard to work with material that all knife makers bitch about. Let me see what I can do with it. He's good at everything. And this is not a guy that has a CNC or anything else. There's nothing automated in his shop. I don't even think he has a pantograph. If he does, then he's done that in the last few years since I've seen him and I've been in his shop. Basic stuff, good quality mill. He taught himself machining. He taught himself how to do everything. And he's damn good at it. Now, it doesn't hurt that he's got really good friends like John Gray, who is another outstanding knife maker that I feel is still underrated, even though those of us in the collecting community know and respect John Gray. He's just not a household name. And Jeff hasn't been either. It's always been this community that kept everything going for him. And when I say that he not only weathered the storm metaphorically, but literally, where he lives in Pennsylvania, they had gotten some severe storms and flooding and all kinds of horrible stuff. He's even had cars literally crash into his house. That's how insane that area that he lives in is. And each and every time he has picked himself up by the bootstraps, as the boomers would say, and rebuilt and just carried on like nothing happened. Yeah, there was some downtime and he'd have to apologize to people with orders. Hey, I need to rebuild my shop and half of my house. And he would post pictures of the flood damage and everything. And just to prove to people, I'm not lying to you, I'm going to be delayed by 3 weeks because I can't walk through my yard or into my shop. And he would never use it as an excuse. He would get back out there the day that he was able to and grind and grind and grind and grind and push orders out the door and get shit done. And a lot of people that heard about that began to respect him for that as well. Because he didn't take the crap that was thrown at him and give up. He's a tough dude, and like I said, I tremendously respect him, and I still consider him a good close friend. So I am going to be biased on this one as well. More so about the design. The execution, it's all up to Vosteed, right? And I don't have a huge connection to Vosteed. I've had the wonderful opportunity to communicate with Yua, the owner, a few times, and he seems like a really fantastic, genuine individual who enjoys the community as well as enjoys bringing their production skills and their machining skills, combining it with these really great makers and putting out a great product at a good price and kind of unifying all three segments, kind of like the pyramid here. So you got the makers and the manufacturer and the collectors. Oh, creepy. All right, let's get this out of there and talk about the knife. Before I start really getting into the oohs and ahs over the knife, let's get a few things out of the way. Number one, you can front flip it. Number two, you can reverse flick it. Number three, hell yeah, you can slow roll it. That's how perfectly tuned that detent is. And number four, you can thumb flick it. This bad boy is 8.01 inches in overall length It is a flat ground drop point with a blade length of 3.32 inches and a nice, sexy finger choil to drop your finger into. It is done in Elmax steel with a blade stock thickness of 138 thousandths. The weight is 4.66 ounces, and it's running, no surprise, on caged ceramic bearings. So it's fast, it's smooth, and when you master when to release that lock, see, I don't like blade bounce, so if you hold it too long, you get blade bounce on any button lock. Again, not a button lock, I'll get into that in a second. But if you release it just right, it closes right up, right where it needs to go. Now, when I was repeatedly saying, not a button lock, what the hell was I talking about? You see the button right there, man. Is this fake news? No, it is not fake news. It is not a trick of the Illuminati. Sorry. It's a liner lock, but that liner lock is depressed because its mommy didn't love him enough. It's depressed by the button. So you do have a button, you do have a switch, but that is not the lock itself like it would be on a button lock. There would be a crossbar mating up with the tang of the blade, preventing it from closing. Instead, this is not a standard, but it operates like a standard liner lock, meeting up right about here in the middle with the tang of the blade and locks it up like a liner lock or a frame lock. And then instead of disengaging that lock with your thumb down here, you're just doing it up here. And it operates the exact same way. And that is what Vosteed calls their top liner lock, which is a very no-nonsense kind of name. I dig that. God, I hate front flippers. However, this one works really well. The jimping is really good and grippy, so my finger doesn't go flying off. The detent is nice, so I don't feel like I'm having to roll it all the way around. I can give it a good pop and send it on its way. The overall design is sexy as hell. Looks really good. I love the shape. I love the fact that the milled titanium clip is blind screwed. There is no exposed hardware there. And they could have done that, and that would have been fine because you have screws here holding the backspacer in and holding the frame together. So it wouldn't have been tacky, but this is what Jeff does on his customs. There's no exposed screw. So what Vosteed set out to do was make this as close to the custom as they could. Another really nice design element on here is, and you've heard me talking about this for about 2 years now, how much I really, really love a flat pivot. I think it goes well with the overall look of the knife. It's flat on both sides. Now, some interesting choices were made here. The entire frame, the entire handle, everything is titanium except the button and the pivot collar. The button and pivot collars are steel. I wouldn't have expected that. I would have expected them to do, well, titanium. But they did those in steel. Hardware is titanium. The quarter-length wraparound backspacer is titanium. Pocket clip, again, as discussed, titanium. The jimping on the spine of the blade is fan-friggin-tastic. It's just grippy enough to really actually give you traction without feeling like you're going to tear up your skin on a cheese grater. And they have taken the very edges of it, which would normally be very, very sharp, and they have chamfered that edge so that you don't have any sharpness there to cut into you or tear fabric or anything else. And I'm kind of glad they went with Elmax. And I have to wonder if that was by Jeff's request. Because nowadays, Elmax is kind of old school. Now, not old school like 440C. What I'm saying is, some of us look back to the, I don't know, early and mid 2000s as the glory days of YouTube knife reviews and knife collectors and things like that. And Elmax was just coming up at that point. And a lot of us loved Elmax. There was the hiccup initially. The first few brands, Kershaw or ZT, one of the two being the first to use it. They weren't heat treating it properly, so Elmax got a really bad rap for a long time. A lot of people didn't trust it even after it was exposed that was the problem, and then it was rectified. People were still very iffy about Elmax for a couple of years. And then once people got past that, because as we all know in the knife community, everybody has a short friggin' memory, it started getting used more and more often, and people realized what a really great high-performance steel it really was. Holds an edge really, really well. Doesn't warp easily during heat treat, not as easily as something like, say, MagnaCut. The edge doesn't chip and roll as easily as a lot of other hard super steels do. It's just one of those steels that's really great for EDC. It's good for every kind of cutting, every kind of task. And I'll be honest with you, until M390 came out, this was about the best EDC knife steel that you could get your hands on. It was that well-rounded. It wasn't the best edge retention or the best corrosion resistance or the best toughness. It was a really good balance of all of that, as well as being easily machinable and easy to finish. You could take Elmax and do a really nice hand rub satin and not feel like your fingers are going to die. You could go up to a nice polish without it getting cloudy like N690 does. It had pretty much everything you could want for an EDC knife. So it makes me wonder if maybe that choice was made because that's what Jeff wanted to use. Because most manufacturers today, they're just going to go with what they can get their hands on. That's, if they're a good quality company like Vosteed, that's good quality steel. You know, an M390 is always going to be a solid choice. Yes, we're tired of hearing M390 on every friggin' knife, but fact of the matter is, it's a really good steel. And here we've got something that's just a little bit different, and it's nice to be able to say Elmax again. I haven't said Elmax in, oh my God, I can't think. I don't remember how long it's been. Anyway, the balance in the hand feels nice. It's a little bit blade heavy actually, no, you know what? I apologize. It's not. It felt like it was, but there's your balance point, about an inch behind the pivot. So it's actually ass heavy. But in the hand, it feels a bit blade heavy. But it feels good in the hand. If you're doing some detailed work or you're doing something, you're cutting down for a long period of time. Let's say you've got, I don't know, 30 really super thick cardboard boxes you've got to cut down for trash duty. And you're just doing it over and over and over again. You could choke up here and it's going to reduce your fatigue a little bit because you're not back here with the blade pushing that hard up against you. You're on the blade itself. And you're able to push through that work with a little bit less fatigue. Overall, I really dig it. I like the all black look as well. There were options in standard gray titanium and standard finish, satin finishes and stuff on the blade. They are sold out. It is down to now only 2 of the black versions. Mine is the smooth. I believe Vosteed calls it rounded. I'm not sure. I think that's what I saw. And there's one that has a milled pattern in the back half of the frame. I'll try to remember to throw a picture up here on screen. So whichever way you go, you're going to get all black, which is kind of tactical anyway, right? Everything about this knife screams unique. It looks like you're carrying a custom knife on you. And it's got some heritage behind it by being based directly off of a custom knife. I think it's pretty damn fantastic. But I'll tell you this, if you're going to do it, you better do it fast before they're all gone. I don't know how limited this is going to be. I don't know if it's a single production run or if Jeff and Yua plan on doing more. I hope they do. And I'll be honest, I hope they do more models as well. Now, I know Jeff has some other collaborations coming up soon. I won't discuss them here because it's not appropriate, but I'm excited about those as well. And I'm so very happy for Jeff that his designs are going to be seen and carried by so many more people. Because let's face it, even if you've seen his work and seen how great it is and wanted to own one of his knives, number one, it's not super easy to get on his books. And number two, he ain't cheap. All right? That's just the way it is. He's making a handmade product that he's putting a shit ton of time into. And that's valuable. That's worth something. It's not cheap to get into one of his knives, but it's absolutely worth it. And every time you put one in your hands, you go, wow, I've got something cool here. I've got something special here. It was worth every penny. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this knife, on the Psyop. I think it's pretty badass. Congratulations, Jeff. Congratulations to all of you that have already purchased this knife. You're already carrying it. I'd love to hear from you down below. Please sound off and let me know what you think of it. I'd like to see if our opinions vary or if they're close together. And I'll see you guys on the next video.